What I like to believe is that the songwriting is there, and it's been consistently proven over the last 16 years, because every single release we've had other than one has had a #1 on it, not just a #2 or #3. So with that being said, I don't think it did anything other than it's just a great song, and it's not the only good song that we have, and it's not the only good song on that record even. Face Down got the most promotion because it was our first single ever. It was our very first song that we ever put out. If Guardian Angel was the first song that we ever put out, it would be the song that everyone's like, do you think that's what broke your career? If it was False Pretense, everybody would be saying it about that song. It's pretty simple. So the very first song that we ever released physically got the most promotion and had the most budget by the label. So the math aligns with how the song did. And then as far as people liking the song or not, that's what we're grateful about. You just never really know. We knew that we were going to have a good solid push because we signed a record deal with a reputable company and we made a great record. We chose Face Down first because we decided if there was no other song that was ever going to be heard for the rest of our career, we wanted it to be that one. So how could I ever be anything other than just super grateful for how not only much it's achieved then, but even today, the song is still big. And we're not one of those bands that's gone online and said, oh, we're retiring this song. We're very much the opposite. We play all the hits every single night. I love Face Down. I always will. I'll sing it until I'm 95 years old because it's about me and us and what we've gone through. How would I ever turn my back on that or any of our songs? Hey, what's up? We're the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. I'm Ronnie.
I'm Josh.
I'm John.
Randy. Joey.
And this is the oral history of Face Down. Well, Face Down is like most of our songs, and they were written, especially in the beginning, by me with an acoustic, just like that one over there, on a couch just like this one, because my brother Randy, him and I had a different band. We were called Dishonest, and Randy was the singer and I was the drummer, and we were like a really cool math metal band. So we had a lot of interesting time signatures and all that, different key changes, and really dark. So like Jumpsuit was just something I was writing on the side that didn't fit that band. So Face Down, Guardian Angel, all those songs, they have this cool place in my heart where it was just me on a couch with an acoustic writing about different things that we were going through as people, including that. I always write the lyrics first. I'm a really weird songwriter. I've met a lot of different really successful songwriters over the years, and they always find it very weird working with me. I'll move the progression around to the lyric and the melody. I try to come up with something that makes me feel an emotion first, lyrically. And when I'm a producer too, and so is John, and so is Randy, and when I work with songwriters, I just hammer the lyrics, and they hate that. They want to worry more about the website and the video. They're already worried about the video before the song's done, so like, I just can't do it that way. So for me, it's just lyrics first. So I had this, just this "Do you feel like a man" melody going in my head. And, domestic violence is something that I grew up in. It was part of my every single day life, and my brother Randy. And at that time in our lives, we were a little bit removed from it, about 5 years removed from it, but that's not very long. So we were 17, 18 years old when I wrote that song. Our life had stabled out thanks to our grandparents who adopted us, but it wasn't that, much in the past that we were literally just thrust into that lifestyle, living with parents who were just, warring against each other is essentially what it was. So, it came out, man. The words came out first, and then I just picked 4 chords. I mean, the song is 4 chords. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 over and over again. So, we're not Led Zeppelin. I love Led Zeppelin, but we're not them. We're more about the lyrics and the storyline. But we've been a band 16 years. It's a long time. But me and Randy have been making music even longer than that since I was like, from the pictures that I saw, 5 or 6. So we're going on 30-something years together, him and I. And the band has been together 16. We didn't really ever have a gimmick. We didn't, do the eyeliner and the leather and all the, the crazy stage shows. And we've just always told true stories. So every song on every single EP album from the beginning all the way till now, including Face Down, is a true story, other than the very small exception of a couple of songs that we did, either a cover song or a song about a movie. And with Face Down, like I touched on earlier, that's something that my mom and my dad were just really young when they had my brother Randy. I think they did the best they could, but they both self-medicated with alcohol and drugs, and that's just what happens sometimes in life. Not everybody gets that perfect American red, white, and blue upbringing. So when you have 2 people, not just one, who are both participating in like heavy substance abuse, then domestic violence is kind of like the natural partner of that relationship. And as you grow older into an adulthood, we're parents now. Me, Randy, and Joey are all full-time dads when we get home. I get it now. I understand that. I didn't then know. I was definitely an angsty teenager, like they all say, the emo movement and all that. We've done as much as we could from the very beginning to raise awareness about domestic violence, because it's something that we went through. And I do believe that if there's anybody out there who's going through that, their parents probably are just like mine. And they're just, either they don't know they're addicted to something and they need recovery, or they're fighting against it and they're self-medicating it. And hopefully that their story can turn out like ours, because here we are 16 years later, and we have a really great relationship with our family. And a lot of those burnt bridges have been mended through spirituality and meditation and, just different, it took work, man, lots of work, but we're all together now. We made it through that, even with Face Down kind of cementing that moment in time, because at that time things weren't all cool in our family, and there was a lot of hurt feelings and a lot of just resentments and just pain and suffering, because three brothers really lost their mom and their dad, due to, really it wasn't even really due to that, it was due to the underlying issues below it, which is what we're talking about, which is the oral history of Face Down. When I first was touring and talking about Face Down, I was hesitant to tell people that it was about my mom, because I know my mom was battling her addiction at that time. And then later she conquered that addiction and still to this day has remained sober, and it's been just phenomenal. And then I wound up having to get sober because I got addicted to alcohol. So here I was, all judgmental on my high tower, thinking, oh, how could you do this? How could you do this to your kids? And then I turned around and almost did the same thing. Not only did she get sober and stay sober, but now she's somebody that I look up to and I confide in when it comes to sobriety-related topics, which is what our newest song is about, Shooting Star. So all the way from Face Down in 2006 to 2019, I'm just writing about what I'm going through, what I've been through, just being real from the beginning all the way till now. The song was out way before we signed to Virgin, and everybody in Florida and southeastern Georgia and even Alabama knows that. So we really just kind of did it on our own, man, and then the labels came to us after the fact. So the first time I really heard people singing it back was right after we put it out in Jacksonville, Middleburg, Orange Park. All these little small venues that people will never hear of that we used to sell out all the time, and it would just be us and our friends. And, but to be honest, I was pretty used to that because, like I said, me and my brother had another band called Dishonest, and they would sing all those songs back to us. It wasn't our first band. So this was more of a side project. So I wasn't necessarily I wasn't one of those guys that was blown away, oh, people are singing my song back, because I'd already been in a band that we had done a lot of work. We had a fan base. It was doing well. This was a side project. So for me to hear people sing Face Down back wasn't a shock. I was used to it at that time because I had learned in the other band that we had that that's what you do. You write good songs, you tour, you put good recordings out, and then hopefully that work gets paid off by people coming to your shows, singing the lyrics, and having a good time, and maybe even buying some merch, which then enables you to put more money into recording, which then enables you to book more shows, and that's the cycle. Now, first time I heard it on the radio, though, that's a whole different story. Before the album was even out, we were doing a bunch of these really weird promo things. The label always wants you to do these promo things, and they're wacky and strange. And this one was a birthday barbecue in somebody's front yard. I think they called it Kegs and Eggs. So they're out there drinking and raging at 9 o'clock in the morning, and then the Bigfoot monster truck, or what? Swamp Thing, wasn't it Swamp Thing? Pulls up into the driveway, and it's so loud. I remember the mufflers this. I felt so bad for all the neighbors. And they were remotely going to play the song Face Down. That's the first time I heard it, the Virgin release, not the produced by us release that came out in 2004. That's the first time I heard the Virgin release on the air.
Yeah, sounds right. I remember that.
So that had to be, 2006. So it was awkward. There's a bunch of people drinking beer at 9 in the morning while eating eggs and bacon. We're in their front yard. We don't know who any of them are, but we're there with the station, and I guess we're the band that they won the competition for, and they liked us. So they were nice people. It was just weird, and then it was hard to even hear the song because the mufflers were so loud on the monster trucks. That's my first memory. I'd be more interested about you, because, how old were you? Do you remember the first time you heard it?
Yeah, man.
Where were you at?
I was at home. I was 13, and my friend Matt pulled up YouTube, and he was making a MySpace for me. I didn't want to make it myself, but he showed me Face Down on YouTube. That was it. That was the first wave of modern music kind of coming to me, besides Green Day's American Idiot at the time. I was listening to nothing but Metallica and stuff, so it was the first slap of new rock music. So it's really cool. I don't know. It's a big part of my high school and middle school memories.
How does it feel to remember being 13, seeing it on YouTube, and then Years
It's
later,
just
no.
weird. It's
You're
super weird.
you're at alternative press, like
It's
talking
always the
about
music
it.
video that's the weird one, because that's what Matt showed me, like the music video. So every time I see the music video, I'm like, damn, like, it doesn't even feel real. It feels like a different band almost. Like,
You still tell me to this day, like, you were in the video.
I say that all the time to Joe.
You
Like,
were
for
the
sure.
video.
Yeah, anytime anyone like questions his legitimacy in the band, I'm like, this guy was in the Face Down music video. Like, he was in it.
And now I know why it makes sense. You don't even think I knew that the first time you heard it was
that
the
was
YouTube
like my bridge into the band, if you will. So,
Yeah.
to me, it's a big deal. It's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time I heard it was when we ran it. Well, this was the 2004 version. We bought our own radio ads for Freebird,
That's right.
and naturally sold it out. But I remember like being like, okay, what time are the time spots? Okay, cool. And then like being in my truck and like waiting for that ad to play that we just paid for to sell at the show, and it's like, all right, yeah, that's radio. That counts.
What other songs were big when Face Down was influencing everybody else? And for me, the answer to that is like My Chemical Romance. I'm Not Okay was like the song. So like even though all these people were like fiending for Face Down, I was just like, discovering my love for this band, My Chemical Romance. So like everybody wanted Face Down and Don't You Fake It, but I wanted My Chem. And then when Black Parade came out, I was just so impressed. And I was so happy to be a fan of a band who made such a good record. And I never say that about anybody. We were doing a huge show I think in Dallas, and Face Down was the biggest song of the night. We're playing with bands a lot bigger than us, but Face Down was the biggest song of the night. I don't care what anybody says. I'm pretty sure every artist would agree that that was the biggest song of the night. And Gerard came onto our bus because it was my birthday and wished me a happy birthday. Can you believe that? Nobody had to ask him to do that. No managers were involved. No labels were involved. So I'll never forget that. He probably doesn't even remember it, but I'll remember it forever. You know what I mean? Because really, it was me. Like, I was freaking out. He came onto our bus. I was like, holy crap. Like, what's he doing on here? Like, I was a super fan and he didn't know it. So anyway, if you ever see this, man, that was the coolest thing ever. The main difference between the first album and the second album for us is like the first album, there's a sense of urgency because there was urgency. Like, we literally were broke kids, and like even when Virgin sent us into the studio, they didn't give us any money first. So we're literally like, we're still worried about our bills at the house while we're tracking this album that later became known as Don't You Fake It. So there's this air of like uncertainty and just, oh gosh, I hope this isn't all for a waste. And then when Lonely Road came around, we're pretty known band now. Like all the emo Scenester kids definitely know who we are. Touring's doing great. We're making money, we're paying our bills. So this time we're kind of just hanging out in LA and the label's paying us to make a record, as opposed to like us giving every single thing that we have to make that first record. So in hindsight, and I think that's the natural progression. I've seen it happen to a lot of bands, so I'm glad it's not just us. And I'm glad we even experienced that, because the very next thing that happened after that is we stripped it back down and released an EP called the Hell or High Water EP, which is still our highest selling EP ever. So like, and that was the exact opposite of Lonely Road. So it was like we went Don't You Fake It, then we went Lonely Road, then we went Hell or High Water. Like, we've tried all these different extremes, and that's what happens. You grow as a band and you evolve. And and Hell or High Water was the exact opposite of Don't You Fake It and A Lonely Road. We did that in my studio, at my house, in my yard. So at that point, we were literally nothing but just us together. Yep, we're Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. We're super happy to be here. We were just looking at the wall, and the last time we were here was 2011, which was 8 years ago. So life is good, man. And all I wanted to say is we got new music coming out soon, and I'm not allowed to talk about it other than telling you first, alt press. So The Awakening, our last record, covered my journey into sobriety, and I'm 4 years deep in that now, and I feel pretty confident that I'm able to talk about it. In the beginning, I didn't want to. I wanted to put it on a record, which I did. And now I feel good, and I think I'm going to stay sober as long as I want to. So now that issue's been covered, what we've been going through recently is just this new songs have just been really fun. This EP is not that's our only concept record. It's very serious toned and very like, this is what you got to do to survive. Because that's what I was going through, man. It was life or death for me. This is the opposite. Now I'm on the backside of it. So this EP or album, whatever you want to call it, the way Josh described it, which I really like, is straight into the fire. The same type of lyrical intensity that I used on songs like Face Down and Guardian Angel that a lot of people considered controversial. I just went back to that, and I haven't done that since then. So this is the first time since Don't You Fake It, I'll say, that I've gone a little more straight into the fire with the lyrics, if that means anything to you.